The purpose of these lessons is to show you the logic behind the most basic Chinese characters, beginning with the simplest pictograms, and later combining these elements to create more complex characters. Today's lesson introduces 10 characters, all but 2 of them containing the pictogram for a horse. That may sound like a lot, but most of the characters are rather limited in scope. In some characters, the horse serves as the phonetic element only. In others, the horse component actually refers to the animal itself. So, we'll begin with the earliest drawings and see how the horse became more and more stylized over time until we arrive at the modern character. Pronounced third tone. Ma, ma. Our first sentence contains probably the most common phrase using this character, the expression for right away, immediately, at once, literally, on horseback, 马上。他有事，他得马上回家。Something's come up. He has to go home immediately. If I had translated 他有事 as he has something to do, you might get the feeling that he's brushing you off, which can come across as somewhat rude. So remember this phrase, 我有事, because it's the go-to excuse for turning down any invitation without insulting your listener. 不要急，你不能马上行动。Not so fast. Don't rush it. You can't make your move right away. 行动 means to act or make a move of any sort. This next sentence contains the phrase 马术, meaning horsemanship. 他的马术不及我的好. His horsemanship skills can't compare to mine. Remember that 不及 can be switched out and replaced by either 不如 or 没有 in this example. The second character in today's lesson is the most common and informal way to address one's mother. It's composed of the reticle for woman plus the horse as phonetic. Pronounced first tone. Ma, ma. This is obviously derived from baby talk, as many family and kinship words are. It can also be doubled as mama or mama, and is often used that way. Our first example is 我妈的事好多，她闲不得。My mom's got a lot to do. She's always on the go. Remember, 不得闲 from lesson 35 means to not get any leisure or rest. By changing the order from the actual to the potential form 闲不得, it implies that, try as she might, she's unable to get any rest. Next is a very common exclamation of surprise, translated variously as, oh my gosh, gee, wow, oh boy, good heavens. 我的妈呀! For example, at the swimming pool. 我的妈呀, 水冰冰的. Wow, the water's ice cold. Or, picking up someone's backpack. 我的妈呀, 你的背包好重. Gosh, your backpack is so heavy. Notice that an extra sound, ya, is often added for emphasis. There is a character for it, but it's not on my list to introduce just yet. So, content yourself with the pronunciation for the time being. Some people might consider, oh my God, an appropriate translation. However, it is a religious reference and can be quite strong and offensive to some. From a non-native speaker's mouth, some exclamations can be misunderstood or sound especially cringe-worthy. For that reason, I discourage my students from using, "Oh my God." 他妈的. Loosely translated, it means his mother's ... with the obvious body part left out. But it's still very crude and offensive, whether you finish the phrase or not. Most native speakers don't finish it. And some people will change the tone of ma to third tone, so they can mutter it under their breath. 他妈的. This expression, just like the English word effing, can be inserted nearly anywhere to express extreme anger. But as I said, using vulgarity in a foreign tongue does not make you sound cool. If your native listener doesn't cringe in horror at your attempt, they just might fly into a rage and beat the shit out of you. Pardon my French. The same goes for giving someone the middle finger. The third character in today's lesson used to be composed of a net, such as we saw in my and my, and yin, the character for speech, meaning literally to net a person with words, or in English, to heap abuse on someone. Later, the horse phonetic replaced the speech radical, resulting in the modern phono-Semitic compound, pronounced fourth tone, ma, ma. It translates as to yell or shout at, scold, or abuse verbally. Here's a sentence. 他想着想骂人，可是骂不出口. She wanted to tell him off, but couldn't get the words out. She thought about giving him a piece of her mind, but stopped short of saying anything. Why did she stop? Perhaps she felt sorry for him, or maybe she knew it wouldn't do any good. This character can be paired with 责 from lesson 35. 我妈责骂我天亮才回家. My mom chewed me out for not coming home until dawn. Another example. 他不在意父母责骂他. His parents scold him, but it falls on deaf ears. He doesn't really care. And finally, we have the Chinese question particle, which makes questions much easier to formulate. This character is neutral tone, ma, ma. It creates a question out of any sentence it's added onto. It's so easy, but I had to wait for the horse radical before I could use it in my sentences. Actually, this is the original character for shouting abuse at someone. A mouth for yelling, and the horse phonetic. For some reason, this character was repurposed as a question particle in the colloquial language, and the character for scolding was given the net radical instead, meaning to cover them with abuse. Here are two easy sentences, one negative and one affirmative, so you can see how easy it is to apply. 你不想家吗? Aren't you homesick? Literally, don't you think about home? 你相信她的话吗? Do you believe her? Do you believe what she says? This next character is based on the original version of ma, in which the speech radical appeared and then was replaced by the horse. Only this time, the speech radical remains, and a hand radical 寸 was added. The hand radical was apparently miscopied over time and became the knife radical we see today. This character is pronounced second tone, fa, fa, and means to punish, penalize, or impose a fine for a minor transgression. Originally, the verbal abuse of another person. The hand radical with a dash underneath, 寸appeared in Lesson 7 and refers to measurement. In this case, measurement of behavior. Limitations on behavior, otherwise known as the law. The knife radical is an important one and will appear in more detail in a later lesson. Here are some examples of 罚. 父母罚哥哥不可打电动. My parents punished my brother by not letting him play video games. 我妈罚我3天不可出门. My mom is punishing me by grounding me for 3 days. Just as airplanes can be grounded, that is, not allowed to fly during a severe storm, children can be kept at home, grounded as punishment. A more common use of 罚 is on public signs warning of infractions such as littering, illegal parking, not cleaning up after your dog, etc. Since this lesson is related to horses, I thought it important to add the character for a vehicle. So our 6th character is an ancient oxcart, which still represents any type of vehicle today. It's pronounced first tone, 车, 车, and more rarely in certain expressions, first tone, 居, 居, making it a split sound character. 在门口停车要罚1000元. Parking in front of the gate will incur a $1,000 fine. As you can see, to park a car is literally to stop a car, which is not the expression used for applying the brakes in an emergency. And here's an example from a novel. 马车在他家的门口停下. The horse carriage pulled up at her front door. As I mentioned in Lesson 19, 开 is the verb for turning on and operating a machine. So 开 is used for the everyday expression to drive a car. 你妈开车时不可以吵她. Don't bother your mother when she's driving. The next sentence uses the literal phrase for horsepower, 马力. 车子开足马力往山上去. The car roared off at top speed toward the mountains. Notice that the single character 车 will often add the unstressed z to create an easily recognizable noun. 开足马力 literally means to drive at full horsepower. In English, we take or ride a car, bus, or train. In Chinese, if you're not the driver, you simply sit in the vehicle. 坐车. 我得坐车回去. I have to take a bus or a train back. 你的车坐得下5个人吗? Can your car seat 5 people? Getting into or onto, out of or off any form of transportation will use the verbs 上 or 下 from Lesson 6. 我要在下一个街口下车. I want to get off at the next intersection. Notice the use of 上 for last and 下 for next, originating presumably from the Chinese habit of reading from top to bottom of a text, the same as for 上个月 last month and 下个月 next month. The 7th character in today's lesson uses 骑 from Lesson 23 as both the phonetic and semantic component to combine with the horse radical. To create a new character pronounced second tone, 骑, 骑. As I explained in Lesson 23, 骑 is the pictogram of a one-legged person, depending on a cane or crutch for support. This fits perfectly with using a horse for support, or in other words, riding on one. 骑 is used for riding on the back of an animal, or if referring to vehicles, riding the two-wheeled variety that you straddle, such as motorcycles and bicycles. 有10个骑手，其中2个是女性。There were 10 jockeys, 2 of whom were women. 雪地上骑车，一定要小心。You must be careful riding your bike on snow-covered ground. In Lesson 27, we learned the character 家, depicting a farmer grunting loudly while tilling the field, literally shouting to increase his strength. This enters into our 8th character as the phonetic, pronounced 4th tone, 驾, 驾, originally meaning to yoke horses or oxen, literally to add the yoke. Obviously, yoking the animals was for the purpose of pulling a cart or carriage, which meant driving them. So, 驾, in conjunction with the following character, means to drive an automobile, pilot an aircraft, or steer a boat. And here is that character, our 9th in today's lesson, using 使 from Lesson 33 as both phonetic and semantic elements, meaning to cause or make a horse move forward. Also pronounced 3rd tone, 使, 使. Some examples. 小心驾驶, drive carefully. This sign is often found at the entrance to a highway. 驾驶 is more official sounding than 开车. 你的驾驶技术如何? How are your driving skills? This sentence could also be rendered as 你的开车技术如何? 驾驶下车骂我们了. The driver got out of his car and cursed at us. 驾驶员太大意，是出事的主因. The pilot's carelessness was the major cause of the accident. And in last place is our 10th character, taking the same snake phonetic found in Lesson 16 as in water pond, 池, and combining it with the horse radical to create a new character. Also pronounced 2nd tone, 池, 池. This character means to go swiftly, to spread quickly, just like the water pond, which originally depicted rivers spreading beyond their banks to create small bodies of water, or ponds. The most useful expression using this character is 驰名, meaning one's reputation spreads far and wide. 驰名中外, renowned at home and abroad. 中, referring to China, of course. And a pattern to express for what reason a person, food, or structure is world-renowned is as follows. 以而驰名天下, renowned worldwide for ... Some possible examples that would fit this pattern would be China's Great Wall, France's Eiffel Tower, America's Statue of Liberty, Picasso's paintings, Mozart's music, etc. Here is our color chart with today's 10 characters. 马, 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 骑, 车, 驰, 驾, 驶, 罚, and 骂. Here's the takeaway from today's lesson. 1. The most common phrase using the standalone character for horse is 马上, meaning immediately. Other expressions include 马术, horsemanship, and 马力, horsepower. 2. The horse as phonetic appears in 马 for mother, providing 2 exclamations, one innocuous 我的妈呀 and one vulgar 他妈的. I remind students that the use of exclamations in a foreign language is to be discouraged, lest one unwittingly insult a native speaker. Familiarity with the terms is enough. 3. The character for shouting at someone, abusing them verbally, 骂, was originally composed of a net covering the speech radical, suggestive of the heaping of words on someone. The speech radical was later replaced by the horse to create a phono-semantic compound. 4. A variation of 骂 for verbal abuse replaced the net component with either 2 mouth radicals above or 1 mouth radical to the left, indicating the shouting and yelling involved. The double mouth version became the simplified version, while the single mouth variant became the unstressed interrogative particle ま. 5. The neutral tone ま is by far the easiest to use because it simply attaches to the end of any statement and instantly transforms it into a question. 6. The net covering the speech radical did not disappear, but turns up again in the character 罚, meaning to punish or impose a fine. The earliest version contained the 寸, hand on the right, implying measurement, and the long arm of the law. Perhaps through repeated copying over the centuries, this legal arm was replaced by the 2-stroke knife radical we see today. 7. The character 车 represents any wheeled vehicle. To get in or get on it is 上车. To drive it, 开车. To get out of or get off it, 下车. And to park it is 停车. 8. The expression for riding a horse is 骑马, and for riding a 2-wheeled vehicle is 骑车. A horse racing jockey is 骑手. 9. The phrase 驾驶 is the official way to say operate a vehicle, plane, or boat. A pilot is a 驾驶员. 10. A horse radical beside the snake phonetic becomes the character for going or spreading quickly, 驰. It's often found in the expression 驰名, meaning the reputation of a building, piece of artwork, or an individual has spread far and wide. Now you'll find a short quiz on double, triple character, and longer expressions. Answer using only the characters learned so far. Thank you for watching and listening.